Hey there everyone, it's Aaron Hughes of FuDog Group, and in this video I'm going to share my thoughts on productivity systems and software and things you might consider if you are looking to elevate your time management, productivity, efficiency, and like how you get stuff done. Now, if you are not in the market for a new productivity system, if you are happy with the system or software that you're using to manage your tasks and projects, then feel free to skip this video. This video is going to go a little bit longer and is going to get into the weeds a little bit in terms of like different types of software, what you might use or consider. Now, if you are using a system or software and you're thinking about switching, or you want to find some best practices, or you want to know what else is out there, then this video might work great for you. As a disclaimer, I am not making any recommendations. I'm going to share a bunch of software. I've used almost all of them to some degree, but you know, one person watching this video might have a very different set of needs for their productivity system than another person, and so I'm not making any specific recommendations because every person's different, so do your own due diligence. But I'm just going to share what has been working for me, some of the things that have changed in my life and business over time, and how my own needs in these productivity software has changed. And yeah, let's dig in. If I think this video is going too long, or if I run out of voice, I will just cut it in two and do another one later. But let's get started. So I think there are really like four informal, kind of loosely categorized types of productivity software. And so this isn't official or formal in any way, but I would say typically you've got four. You've got a calendar type of productivity software. You've got note-taking productivity software. You've got project management productivity software and task management productivity software. So calendar, notes, projects, and tasks are kind of the four big types of productivity software that you see out there. And a lot of these have like, you know, they have pieces of each one. So you might get a calendar that has some task management. You might get a project management software that does also, you know, a little bit of, a note-taking type of software in it. So I'm just kind of like sharing a bunch of software in each types of these, but just know that when you look into them, you may notice that one has, you know, a bit of overlap with another. So let's talk about these four types and then some software in each one. The one that's kind of most obvious is the calendar type of productivity software. And in my mind, Google Calendar works really great for this one. There are lots of calendar productivity software out there, lots and lots of them, apps on your phone or websites that you can like pay to use their calendar. But honestly, Google Calendar does the job in my opinion. And it does what you need to do. It plays nice between website and mobile. It's, you know, it doesn't matter if you're a Mac or a PC person. Like, I think you just get Google Calendar and it works great everywhere. So I'm really happy using it. It's what I use and I don't see myself changing from that. Google Calendar has a task management system built in, but I don't love it. It's really like, it feels like, you know, it's very, very light. So I wouldn't use it, but if you just have a few simple tasks in your day, it may work well for you. But the calendar productivity system that I really like is Google Calendar. And if you have a lot of time-based, event-based, meeting-based things in your life, then calendar productivity system will work great. Second type of category of productivity systems is like a note-taking type of productivity system. And here, the real leader for a very, very long time was Evernote. And so with Evernote, you sign in, and I'm not sure what you had access to in the free version. I had a paid version, but you would sign in, and you have folders on the one side, and each folder would have notes in them, and so you would kind of create notes, and they're almost like documents that tucked into the folder, but all within this Evernote platform. And so I used that to run my freelance copywriting agency for years. I was an Evernote power user. I used it all the time, and I would have like one note about a client, and so it would have the client's name, it would have like contact information, my billing history with them, any like key links or pieces of information I needed for them, and then I would have within that Evernote, I would have like notes of each of my clients all in a client folder. And then I would have a folder of projects. And then that project folder would have like, if a client wanted me to write a landing page about an ebook, I'd be able to upload the ebook to the note. And then I could like put in links of other websites that the client loved that wanted me to write in that style. And then because it was such a text-heavy, text-based system, I could wrap context around or the file or the links. And then I could even start writing the copy inside of the note so that by the time I was ready to move it from there into like a Word document, it was already really, quite far along. So I really liked Evernote because I ran a very text-heavy business. And that worked well for me for years. And what really changed though was I think Evernote kind of got away from their core of like a great filing system and great note taking. And I mean, maybe they had some other strategies or a long-term vision that just stopped aligning with what I needed, because I feel like I relied on the folder system that they had, and they really de-emphasized the folders and emphasized search. And search wasn't quite as helpful for me because I was using the folders so much. And then what was the other reason that I stopped using them? They had changed like the underlying like technological architecture of the site so that ways that you interact with the files to drag and drop or move a bunch of stuff here and there, it was no longer as easy to do. It required a bunch of steps. So my productivity dropped all of a sudden one day when I turned on Evernote and refreshed to their new update, and it was like it dramatically reduced my productivity. So I moved away from them. Now there's another software within this note-based productivity software category. There's another software, another site that I feel has potentially eclipsed Evernote in terms of like what I'm hearing people talk about. I'm seeing user adoption in there. And I did try them for a little while, but I tried them very, very early in their life cycle. And I wasn't happy with it. I found it to be clunky, not intuitive. And so I moved away from them. I ended up not going with them. But I've heard great things about it since. So I'm wondering if they have evolved beyond like when I first used them, and they might be a great replacement for Evernote. And if my business looked a little bit different today, if it was more text heavy like my freelance agency was, I may very well go with them. And that second company is called Notion. And I think their website is called notion.so. They look like they could be really good, have a great robust software. But when I was moving away from Evernote, I was looking for something. I tried Notion. I just wasn't like getting a rapid adoption in it. And I was starting to grow my agency anyway, where I needed to move into something else. So Notion just didn't pick up for me. But in a different world, if things were slightly different, if I had more time to look into them a bit, or if I came later in their life cycle, I may very well have started using them as a replacement for Evernote. I moved all my stuff from Evernote into a software within the third category that I'm going to talk about. And so we've talked about calendar productivity software. We've talked about note-taking productivity software. Now this third category is what I would call project management productivity software. It really is more like of a formal way to manage your projects. And there's a bunch of software here that are well known, and I think it really depends on the kind of company you have, whether your team is dispersed, who is accessing your stuff, and like whether you're like a solopreneur, freelancer, working by yourself or with one or two people, or you're a larger company with multiple team members. And so there are a bunch of software in this space. I'm only going to mention a few that I've worked with, but just know that I think this category, project management productivity software, there's a lot of players in here, and I haven't used them all, so I'm just going to share what I'm familiar with. So let's divide this project management productivity software into maybe the size of your company. And I think if you're a smaller company, a freelancer, you need something for your life, you need something for your work, and you're just kind of like using it on your own, then I think software like, I'd say the three big ones for like a smaller type of agency, the three big ones are Asana, A-S-A-N-A, Asana. Another one is Monday.com, and another one is ClickUp.com. So Asana, Monday, or ClickUp. And these three, like if you're like a solo entrepreneur, or you just want something that you can use with your family, I think these three could work pretty well. I have used Asana. Like when I was a freelancer, my clients would kind of dial me into their project management system, and Asana was one that I would get like invited to as a guest, as an outsider. I never loved it, just as a disclaimer. For some reason, my brain is not wired to use Asana or find it intuitive. So if you like it, use it. I can't say that I have ever loved it. But they're well known and robust, and they seem to be pretty reliable. The other one I mentioned, Monday.com, I don't mind it too much either. I found it to be pretty solid, pretty reliable. You got what you needed from it. I think it worked fine, and I know a bunch of people using it. The one I did switch to from Evernote, was ClickUp. And similar to Asana and Monday.com, ClickUp is a project management system, a project management software. So you can have projects, and then like kind of these larger categories of projects. Inside each project is a bunch of tasks. You can delegate those tasks out to people. You can attach notes and attachments. You can have chats going on with each task so that you can kind of communicate your way to completion. And then the tasks all roll up to complete the project. And you can have a whole bunch of those, and then different departments. And so these really are like pretty robust ways to manage projects and tasks within your organization. But I feel like they're not for huge companies, not for really large companies. If you're running a larger company, I find that you might want something a bit bigger, a bit more stable and reliable. And for you, I really like, if that's your situation, I really like teamwork.com. That's what we use at FuDog Group, is Teamwork. If that's something you want for your organization, hit us up. Hit me up a private message. I'll make an introduction. But I really like Teamwork, and it's got kind of the classic project management type of system in it. You got projects. Within projects, you have task lists. Within task lists, you can put individual tasks. Tasks can also have subtasks. You can delegate them out. You can make attachments and files and notes. So it's kind of that classic project management software. I really like Teamwork a lot. I've used Podio as well, which I would kind of say is like similar to this. And it's pretty good. I've never stuck with it for some reason, but I feel like it's a solid, dependable, reliable software for a like medium-sized company to manage its projects. So I've used it a little bit. I'm mentioning it, but Teamwork would be my default for larger companies, and then Asana, Monday, and ClickUp. Of those, they're not bad. Let me tell you ClickUp though. I'm not using ClickUp anymore because they got a whole bunch of like investor seed money a couple of years ago, and they spent a whole bunch of it on a Super Bowl ad. And then not too long after that, they fired a bunch of their team. And then right after that, they promised the 3.0 version of ClickUp. But now here they are a year later, and they still haven't released it yet. They trickle it out and give lots of fanfare to tiny little development, but they're way behind, and they're not getting like within the ClickUp community. Users are a little disgruntled. So What would I recommend there of those? It's really hard to say. If you're like a medium-sized company, teamwork works really well. If you're smaller and you don't mind the quirks of ClickUp, maybe use ClickUp. Although I've had some questions about its reliability lately. Monday.com I feel is like the most user-friendly and most reliable of the Asana Monday and ClickUp group that I talked about. So that's the third category. Project management, productivity software. And I think that one's a really good place to put your focus. If you're looking for something you don't need a calendar and you don't need a text-based note-taking productivity, then project management productivity works really well. Then the fourth category is what I would call task management. And really, task management system is almost like a project management system, but light. And it's really more about make a big list and then check off those things as you do them. You can sometimes categorize projects a little bit, or maybe use hashtags to group things together, but they're not like super robust project management tools. I would say that the task management stuff is really more for like one person or a family, or like someone who has a really small business or a side hustle and just needs to manage their tasks, but doesn't need like complex projects. So a task management, some software there. I actually like, it's got a silly name, but I really like them, is rememberthemilk.com, rememberthemilk.com. I have really been impressed by them. They have like, I think, a silly name, and so I don't want to be impressed by that. But I think they have a fairly solid task management system that's pretty good, and it really works well. It's intuitive, so I like them. There's another one that's called AnyDo. I think it's like ANY.do, AnyDo. And that one's not too bad too. They claim to be a calendar and project management system, but I don't feel that they're as robust as some of the ones I've mentioned before. I feel that they're more like a task management system. And then the other one is, working off my memory here, is Todoist, Todoist, Todoist. And it's another task management system. You put in your tasks, you check them off as you go. Maybe there's light project management, but not for an organization. It's just for like, your side hustle, your small business, that type of thing. So these are the four kind of big categories: calendar, note-taking, project management, and task management. And depending on how you work or your life or what you want to manage, you might find one or more of these to work. And what I like is many of them will kind of work together, so that you might run a task management system that plugs into a Google Calendar. And that may be enough for you. But I need something more complex. And so that's why a lot of my work happens in a project management software. So you may be wondering, what do I use? What is it that I use? So here is what I've ended up doing. I've mentioned already, I started in Evernote. I was an Evernote power user for a very long time. I moved to ClickUp, but then really did not love their non-reliability, their instability as a piece of software. And so I really searched for something else that would help me. And I ended up with, what was interesting is a piece of software that doesn't actually necessarily fit into any of these categories. I've kind of hacked it into a project management system with a calendar attached to it, but it really is not officially a productivity software. It's not officially a project management system. I use Airtable. And lots of people use Airtable as a productivity software, so I'm not alone. I haven't hacked it on my own type of thing to invent something. Lots of people use Airtable as a productivity system. I like it because it really, it's a simple interface that's really more like a spreadsheet. It can look like a spreadsheet, or it can look like sometimes called a Kanban board, or what people might call a Trello board, or you can drag and drop cards. You can do that in it. You can get a calendar interface in it. You can get more of that traditional spreadsheet. And so I really like using that, and it helps me sort and manage big complex projects in a simple way. And as FuDog Group has grown, and then my own, I own and invest in businesses, or other investments I have, or as my life becomes more complex, I can put everything in there and just use like simple sorting systems to help me kind of keep it all clean and neat and prioritized. So I have a big list of things that need to get done now and in the future, but it's all there. And I find Airtable is really like stable. So I have like a lot of confidence. I can sign in and access what I need, and it will always work when I need it. Their mobile app is not too bad. It's you're always going to have a bit of struggle if you're using like a spreadsheet type of interface, because you got to do a lot of scrolling on your mobile device. But I don't do a lot of my, like, the access I need on my mobile is just fine, because I don't need it a lot on there. But certainly keep that in mind as you are considering a system to use. So with Airtable, what I really like is that I can get in there, I can put everything in, I can manage it, but there's a whole bunch of room for growth, which I like too. So there's in the future not in the future. Right now, the ability exists. It's in the future for me because I'm not using it now, but I hope to in the future. There is like the ability to get interfaces to so you can kind of like look at your data in different ways. You can kind of you can run scripts so that things automate a little bit better. There are plugins with other software. So there's a lot of different ways that you can extend the capabilities of Airtable. And I have been doing that in a few different ways, and there's a lot more still to come. So I feel like I'm using it now in the best way that serves me, but there's a lot of room for growth. And I found that wasn't the case with ClickUp. With ClickUp, I went in there, I was building out my complex life of business and investments and that kind of thing. And I really kind of like hit a wall very quickly in ClickUp, and then became very concerned about their reliability. So moving to Airtable answered those and gave me a lot of room for growth as my life and business becomes more complex. All right, so this video's gone on like 20-ish minutes. And in another video, I'm going to actually break down how I build out Evernote for my own productivity. It will apply, even if you aren't using Evernote, it will apply to any software that you're using. But the key takeaway here is there are 4 different kinds of categories: calendar, note-taking, project management, and task management. And the way you want to run your life, the way you want to run your work, the way you want to run your business, it will inform which of these that will work for you, or which combination will work for you. So I've given you a few recommendations, a few ideas of what software you can use. Try them out. There's usually a free option for a lot of them, and then I find it's always worth paying for that level up once you find the one that you like. So hopefully that's helpful. I'd love it if you put in the chat below what software are you using? Is it one I've mentioned? Is it one I haven't mentioned? Are you having a different experience, positive or negative, with some of the software that compared to what I have? Maybe you love Asana, which is great. Maybe you hate Airtable. So tell me what you think and how you run your productivity, what software you use. Share that in the chat below. All right, everyone, have an amazing day.